Live from the Nevada APWA Fall Conference in beautiful South Lake Tahoe, it's the Rinker PipeCast. With your hosts, Steve Nilfortion.
This might just get as f***ed up as a pile of coat hangers. Oh, y'all are not ready for this.
And Stu Waller.
Storm drain is a meal best served rigid. Yeah, put this in your pipe and smoke it.
Welcome to the Rinker PipeCast.
Welcome to the Rinker PipeCast. We are live from beautiful South Lake Tahoe.
It's beautiful.
I think the music is fitting. It's a paradise city here.
I see what you did there.
You see what I did there?
I see what you did there.
Yes.
Very nice.
I'm Steve Nilfortion with Rinker Materials. I'm your host, and with me is my co-host, Stu Waller. We'll be on in a second while we rig up some cameras. Improvisation is great.
It is exciting.
He'll be on right here in a second. There's Stu. There's Stu Waller. Hey, hello, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
Yep. So we are at the Nevada's APWA Fall Conference. This is a great conference. They do this every year, have a great turnout. The engineering community in Nevada is second to none, a very close-niched, everybody's friends, a lot of great conversation going on, a lot of networking, great breakout sessions. A lot of things, they talk about projects, developments. They got a presentation coming up, the plastic roadways. Did you see that?
Yeah, I've never heard of that before.
Yeah,
that's
should
even
be
scarier
interesting
than normal.
I think I'm going to check that out. There's going to be a slight change in this episode. So our guest, Devin Cartwright, who was supposed to be on, he's not going to be able to make it. He doesn't feel well, so he didn't come to the conference. But we have a great surprise. So instead, we are going to have one of our great friends, Jared Wagstaff with Las Vegas Paving. And he's going to talk about a lot of projects that Las Vegas Paving has done down in southern Nevada. They do projects all over the place, and they do excellent work. They've been awarded left and right, nonstop.
Yeah. Right.
And we've done a lot of stuff with them. So that's going to be he'll be up in a little bit. I'm glad we're face to face again with conferences. The whole COVID thing was horrible. I got COVID back in August.
I remember that. That was pretty wicked.
That was I can't even explain it. It was the strangest thing. I don't want it again. I was hallucinating.
Hallucinating?
So I would stare at something, and you ever seen when your Wi-Fi gets weak on like Netflix and then it gets pixelated?
Right, yeah.
So I'd be standing there talking to my fiance, right? And then like the plant pot all of a sudden would get pixelated. Just the pot alone. It was something like the Matrix.
And that was COVID. You're sure that was
absolutely
was?
COVID.
Okay,
yes.
Checking.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
I believe you.
Yeah. Speaking of movies, have you still not seen Goonies?
Are we going back to that?
We are going back to that, man. I still can't believe you haven't seen Goonies. Goonies is a classic, and then
Yeah. We did discuss.
I believe
this at
every
the World
engineer
Conference.
here has probably seen Goonies.
That would be a good poll. I'm going to say probably not.
Probably not.
I'm going to go less than 50%.
We're going to bring that up again later, probably.
That's good.
So,
It's
likely.
Fascinating.
Likely.
Compelling
Likely.
information.
Yep, exactly. Something I saw in the news earlier is it was talking about how Nevada, their comeback after the whole lockdown is stronger than ever. There was an article, and they were talking about just how the Silver State took a big hit when the pandemic hit, and then with all the gaming and entertainment kind of coming back, the gaming economic impact. Guess what it is? Guess what it is?
500 million.
55.96 billion. And
what?
What's crazy is it supports 410 jobs statewide, just from that industry alone. Okay. Now through July, the gaming revenue in Nevada, has reached 7.4 billion, generating 555 million in state gaming taxes.
Wow.
And that all that money, the vast majority of the tax revenue from gaming is directed to Nevada's general fund and redistributed to direction of legislative for statewide, everything from education programs to transportation to infrastructure. That's why, I've always said Nevada has one of the best infrastructure, designs and layouts that I've ever seen in all the states. The grid just makes sense. Traffic isn't really that bad. Yeah. And they get projects done just insanely fast. and it just continues growing. More projects come off the shelves with, everybody from flood control to the city of Las Vegas to NDOT, all over Nevada. I mean,
Right,
it's phenomenal and great to see.
Yeah. It's nice to build a new environment too. Back east, they don't have that same availability.
Right. And there's also all the challenges too with, all over the U.S. with, natural disasters, fires, floods. Back in Louisiana, I'm from Louisiana, and they've just had crazy with hurricanes and just regular flooding.
Yeah.
I mean, their storm drain infrastructure needs to be upgraded or something. It's just they're just getting inundated, and then the ground just oversaturated, and that holds up a lot of projects.
That's the critical path right there.
So what can you do?
Not a lot. You just hope it doesn't rain. You do not do rain dances.
No,
for one thing.
No weather. What do you call it? Chemtrails. They
Right.
kind of engineering, weather engineering.
Exactly.
California needs weather engineering. I'll tell you what. California needs a lot of. It's Los. So,
we were saying California
needs a lot of weather engineering.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yep. I mean, the drought there is just crazy. A lot of people that know I work in Vegas, they ask, why is there even storm drain? It never rains in Vegas.
Yeah, I get the same thing.
Vegas, it's nonstop. They just get inundated when not nonstop, but when they do, they get a huge amount of rain,
right.
And it's a bowl, and all has to
the
go somewhere. The
intensity
ground
is
is like rock.
Yeah.
And it all has to go somewhere.
Yeah.
So again, just crazy things going all over the place. Anyway, without further ado, I'm going to bring on our guest for this episode, Las Vegas Paving Project Manager Jared Wagstaff. He's going to join us here. Talk about all kind of good things Las Vegas Paving is doing.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Glad to have you on.
Happy to be here.
All
Glad
right.
to have you here. How's the conference going for you?
It's amazing. Although when I walked up here, I thought there'd be applause or something.
No, the applause. That's
Well,
right. You know what? We can get applause.
hold on.
We can
Get the
get
people-
applause. Get the people. Everybody. You got them?
They weren't paying
All right,
attention.
There they are. There they are. Ladies and
okay.
gentlemen, Jared.
Yes, thank you.
There we go. One more round of applause for
Right.
Jared. There we go. We can't have enough.
He hasn't even said much, and they love him already.
You know
Yeah.
what? We'll even
That's
give him
impressive.
Get him a laugh track too. How about that? All kind of good stuff going on.
Well,
the technology.
everywhere I go, I hear applause in my mind. Not laughing.
That's good.
Though. That's
good.
different.
That would be different. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's a little.
Absolutely.
Oh.
We got all kind of good stuff here.
Well done.
Having fun with it.
No,
Well
that's
played,
great.
sir.
Yeah, we had dinner. All had dinner together last night. That was a great dinner. A rooftop at Harrah's.
Sure was.
It
Yes.
was the amazing meal.
Yes.
The crab
Wow.
cakes.
The crab cakes were phenomenal.
Yeah, they were.
They were the hit.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again for coming on last minute. Like I mentioned, we had a guest from NDOT, and he doesn't feel well, so he's not going to be able to make it. But thank you so much for filling in for him.
Yeah, my pleasure.
We're so
Happy
glad
to be here.
So glad to have you. How's the all the COVID stuff? How did that impact you? Not only you directly, but in business too with Las Vegas Paving. How did all that impact you guys?
Well, fortunately, as you know, in our industry, we were deemed essential, which was pretty amazing. So we were able to work every day. In fact, I think our production, we had the best production ever.
Right.
We had a project on Las Vegas Boulevard, so the busiest street in Nevada.
Right.
And there was no traffic. The whole road was shut down, so we
Nice.
just worked around the clock. It was awesome.
I was hearing that
Nice.
that was like the silver lining in the pandemic, like from standpoint of construction. Usually, when you'd have to redirect traffic and worry about all that chaos, all of a sudden
gone. Yeah,
and
no,
you're
it's
just
totally gone.
plugging and chugging and going and getting in and out.
Yeah, it was exactly like that. So we, on Las Vegas Boulevard, real strict working hours. You had to come in at 2 to 10 or something like that.
Right.
And since there was no traffic, nothing, we just literally worked around the clock.
Wow.
How did that affect your bid item for traffic control? That might be another.
Yeah, in the positive for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, in the positive.
That's awesome. So, what are some big projects that Las Vegas Paving has done other than the Las Vegas Boulevard project? You guys have done so much work. What are some of the biggest ones you guys have done and been recognized for?
Yeah, so we've done a couple of the major design build projects on I-15. So the first design build project NDOT ever constructed was the I-15 North. So we did the North Corridor I-15 design build. We followed that with the South Corridor I-15 design build project. And then I personally oversaw the Interstate 11 project, the first new interstate built in the whole country since 1992.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, so in 1992, they deemed the roads and highway were essentially complete.
Right.
No new, they might have expanded some of the highways or freeways, but no new named freeways. So Interstate 11 from essentially Arizona, the corridor goes from Mexico to Canada, a major spot from Arizona to Nevada, the only two large cities in the nation that aren't connected by a freeway.
Right.
So we constructed that first segment through, it's called the Boulder City Bypass. There were 3 stoplights in Boulder City that it bypassed. It was the main pinch point in the section between Arizona and Nevada. And so we constructed that pursuit. I started pursuing that in 2013.
Okay.
We went into construction in 2015 and completed in 2018.
Wow.
$245 million project.
It's a long-term effort.
It's awesome.
That's
fun
amazing.
Project. Yeah.
And that has alleviated so much. I remember that pinch point back before none of the bypass was there. When you were like, if you wanted to go to Hoover Dam,
right?
You would have
Absolutely.
to go, like
Same
you mentioned,
here.
go through the red lights. And I'm sure that the people who live in Boulder said they got aggravated, like all this traffic. This is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, real unsafe too. So they had tons of different options on how they were going to do it, and the best route and the best way was to create a limited access freeway.
Right.
And we went up through the El Dorado Mountains. We drilled and blasted 6 million cubic yards of material, moved it throughout the site, had to overcome some discovery naturally occurring asbestos. That was the first in the state.
Of course it was.
Yeah, I got to write and develop the plan to mitigate that. We had every agency known to man and maybe a few others that we were dealing with. It goes through the Lake Mead Recreation Center, or it's a national park.
Correct.
And so
they had involvement in it.
Tremendous involvement. They reminded us like every day that you don't build freeways through national parks. And so their requirements were real stringent. And I think we were able to really thread that needle and just, if you go out there, it's really scenic. It's beautiful. Right. It's an amazing project. Real fun.
I love that area. And, you're right. I've driven the new highway, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's very, very impressive.
We got a question I see here on LinkedIn. Mr. Jeffrey Height is asking, can you read that? Oh, how is Las Vegas Paving retaining your employees? It's a good question.
Yeah, that's a really good question.
That's a hot topic here.
Yeah, sure. I think every industry, particularly with construction, the colleges have done a really good job over the years of marketing themselves and saying, you've heard the term, everybody, in order to be successful, you have to go to college.
Right.
And that has, led a lot of people to go to college and take out lots of student loans and have no jobs. And so our industry has really been hurt from that. And so it's a really great question and something that we're constantly tackling. Fortunately, Las Vegas Paving, in my opinion, is the best place to work in Nevada. So just an amazing company. With regards to our craft labor, we are union, and so and we have lots of work, and the guys really like to work here. We do quality work. We hold everybody to high standards, and I think the industry holds us to high standards, which we appreciate.
Sounds like a great culture.
Yeah, it is.
It's your setup.
Yeah, so when I first got hired on and I was recruited, that was my first question, like, how's the culture? And my boss said, well, nobody leaves. And so that's a pretty good indication of the culture.
Good answer.
Yeah. So we get well compensated. It's a good place to work. We have lots of work. It's just good question.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Like I have a lot of friends that I'm in touch with still, being from Louisiana, back in Louisiana, and they're in construction, and then I see them like on social media on posts, they're like, hey, is anybody hiring? I blast them so many times that you want to look for work, Go look. Las Vegas is booming.
Yes.
You want to find work in construction? Go. And they're like, "Are you serious?" And I've actually referred to. I said, "Contact Las Vegas Paving," and they're an excellent company.
Yeah. Yep. Great company to work for. Love it.
Yeah. You lay a lot of pipe too, don't you?
Laying pipe is my most favorite thing to do in the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Get in the trenches and lay the pipe, right?
As often as possible.
Yeah, Las Vegas.
Wow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Las Vegas Paving. They lay a lot of pipe.
Yes.
What?
Las Vegas Paving. They're known for laying pipe. They are. They do a phenomenal job.
That is so.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
That fact.
fact.
Yes, fact.
Yeah, and y'all do a lot of boxes too as well.
Yeah, tons of box. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
They do. It's like on the project we mentioned that you were talking about, there was a lot of box culvert on that project that you guys did. That we did with you, actually.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So that it's one of the few projects that I've ever constructed that was just in raw desert, and so much like places in the West, when it rains, the rain events are enormous, and so we're going through raw desert with all these existing channels,
right.
And I think that our underground package for that project was one of the biggest underground projects we've ever, if it was by itself, that we had ever done.
Okay. Wow.
Singly, and it was incorporated on this project.
Wow.
So we had, lots of dual and multi
box cells,
multi-box cells,
right.
Up to 4 in some areas.
Right. And they were big boxes. They were like 14 buys. They were good sized boxes.
Yeah, huge, real big boxes. And some of our early strategy was, in order to move 6 million cubic yards of dirt, it had to go from one place to another. We had to get in real early with the box and get it all in place so we could get our haul roads.
Yeah. That's
Makes
amazing.
sense. Makes sense.
I want to ask you something. So, one thing I've noticed over the however many years I've been covering Nevada is I'm fascinated as to the speed that projects get done. Everything from the Boulder Bypass, Boulder Highway, Project Neon, projects get done so fast. And then when I go to other parts of the nation, California, even Louisiana, I see. Like back in Louisiana, there'll be a highway widening project, only 2 miles long, 3 miles, and I kid you not, that takes 4 or 5 years, and I'm like, what? So what do you attest the success of the completion rates in Nevada too?
Yeah, no, there's a lot of nuance to that, right? And it depends on, back in Louisiana, maybe the weather conditions are
true
impact it. In Las Vegas, it's sunny mostly every day, and so
but then again, you have the extreme heat.
We do, yeah. So our least productive time is during the summer. Specifically on the Boulder City Bypass, it was design build, and so we had 3,000 drawings. That was our total package.
Right.
We went to work in April of 2015, and we had 60 of those drawings. That's it, of the 3,000.
Wow, that's.
And we worked for an entire year, night and day, two shifts on those 60 drawings as the rest of the design was being perpetuated. And so
that's interesting.
There's
very interesting.
Yeah, some of that work was at risk. As the design builder, we know what's coming. So we can go perpetuate some of that work. We were able to set grade and get a lot of that earthwork done. But, just being innovative and trying to find ways to make sure that work can progress, I think is really important.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Very good point. What are some current infrastructure developments you guys are working on now?
Well, yeah. So we have work all over the valley. We're doing the Centennial Bowl right now.
Right.
That's a big project. I've been working the last 2 years on the Brightline Express.
Yeah.
And so that goes from the Las Vegas, Las Vegas Boulevard, just north of Blue Diamond, to originally supposed to be to Victorville. It's looking like it's going to go down to Rancho Cucamonga. So
that's a lot better. When I first saw the whole train, proposal from LA to Vegas. And I saw it goes to Victorville. I'm like, if you live in LA, you have to drive to Victorville, which is quite the drive itself.
Right.
So it's Rancho Cucamonga is a lot better. So that's going to be a big project. I mean, how long do you think that project's going to take?
Well, once construction starts, it's like 3 years. until trains are running. It's around the clock. It will
that's
be going
fast.
It is really fast.
Now is this going to actually happen? Unlike the California high-speed rail, that that it was they started building, they stopped building, they started building, they stopped building, and so I'm so confused on that. Yeah,
I'm really confident that it will. They're in the process of perpetuating the Rancho Cucamonga piece. Hadn't been the design on that isn't at the same level as the rest of the design, and so they're trying to bring that up level with the rest of the design so it can all go as one project.
Right.
And they're in the process of finalizing their finance. This is privately funded project. And so unlike the California high-speed rail, this should go and it will go efficient.
Make a difference.
It's an amazing project. Just to be involved in some of the first high-speed rail in the nation is a really cool project.
There's so much innovation in Las Vegas. Not only with the train, but they have Elon Musk boring tunnel that we checked out when we were there in June. That we took a test drive through it, and it's short right now.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah,
it's only between the convention center, but they're going to expand to Resorts World and eventually to the airport. And I just like seeing all that innovation in civil engineering and infrastructure and things like that.
Yeah, that stuff's really cool. There's a lot of that's happening here in Nevada.
Right.
That's awesome.
Well, so what's your, so we're in the concrete pipe business. So what's your perspectives on concrete infrastructure?
So I'm a big fan of concrete pipe and concrete box culvert, especially precast. I actually placed the largest, I think I was telling you yesterday, the largest dry cast precast box ever constructed in the world. That was here in Las Vegas. It was 27 by 9, I think is what it was.
Wow.
27,
that's
cells.
Huge.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of you hearing that 27 by 9, or if you see that on the plans, you're like, okay, wow, that's big. But when you see a box of that scope in person, I mean, again, that's not a common thing. Like right now, we make some mega boxes, but we don't make anything right now up to 27 span. So, if anybody ever wants to actually see these boxes up close, at any time, reach out to Rinker Materials Las Vegas, and we would love to bring you on a concrete pipe plant tour to where you can see these things up close. I mean, they're phenomenal.
Yeah, and you guys actually produced that pipe for us.
So. In 2012, right?
Yep. Yeah.
That's huge.
Lake Mead and Pecos intersection. So that was really cool. So
you could probably make a house out of that.
There probably are houses down there.
They are.
Yeah.
Yep.
There are probably people living there right now.
That's true.
Come to think of it, right?
Yeah. So I'm a really big fan of concrete infrastructure. I prefer, as far as pavements, I'm a big fan of asphalt. We are Las Vegas Paving, but
we'll forgive you for that.
Yeah.
Now I saw this is a good segue. I saw there's a presentation coming up on plastic roadways. It's actually coming up. I might check it out. What are your thoughts on the in the future consideration of plastic roadways?
I'd really have to see what that means, right?
Yeah,
exactly. What is involved in that? Is that it's plastics inside of the aggregate that have a longer life? I don't know.
I saw something on LinkedIn a while back. It's like these plastic forms that they just set. They dig this up base, and then they just set these plastic. They're like roadways already made. They set it, and that's your roadway. I mean, I don't know. We'll have to check the presentation out
I definitely want to see it for sure. I'm all for innovation, right? And at Las Vegas Paving, if somebody's doing something like that, we're going to figure out how to do it too.
Now, with resilience as being a big topic these days, resilience is sustainability. So what are your thoughts on resilience and sustainable infrastructure as it relates to concrete?
No, concrete is a great product, right? It lasts a long time. I'm not sure about plastic, and I guess there's tons of information about plastics, and it never goes away.
Right.
We do a lot, just like with concrete. So whenever we get concrete, we'll recycle the aggregates and put it either back into our asphalt or into concrete.
That's excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, we do the same. Robert Mendenhall pioneered recycled asphalt product.
Right.
So that has had an impact across the entire world.
Yeah.
Wow.
As far as that, just using that. And so sustainability is really important, and we're a big proponent of that. I'm personally a proponent of that. And so finding ways to utilize that, especially with concrete, I think is great.
Yeah. Agreed. We try to push it from a standpoint of, again, I bring up natural disasters like all the floods and fires and so on and so forth, and the fact that concrete is very resilient to a lot of the natural disasters.
Yeah.
It doesn't, they don't float, it doesn't burn, anything like that. Especially with the fires that have been going on in South Tahoe, things like concrete culverts, they won't burn out to where it might cause a collapse in the road and not let emergency vehicles in and out. So, we're a huge proponent of resilience and
evacuation route considerations.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I love concrete.
Yep. On another note, like I mentioned, have you seen Goonies?
One of my favorite movies,
now,
classic.
We got in this conversation last night, and I just randomly asked. I said, "Now, name an iconic movie when you were a kid," and he just off the top said Goonies, and then we all looked at Stu, who has never seen Goonies to this day. And for some reason, he just refuses to see it.
Stu, I had a lot of, I really revered you, but now you're down. How can that be?
All I can do is work to get that back. I'm not saying part of that work will include watching Goonies. Maybe there's something else. We'll talk later.
The bottom line is Stu's just laying too much pipe and doesn't have time, to watch Goonies.
He's laying so much pipe.
Yes. He's proud of the pipe he lays. Proud of Rinker Pipe. Isn't that right?
Is that right?
Is that right? That's great. All right, let's get out of the trenches here. Jared, thank you so much.
I really appreciate
it. For being on today. That was
very
great.
interesting.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I'm going to come check out that. I'm going to come check that
Hopefully.
presentation out with you, that plastic.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what they say.
Yeah, I'm super interested, for sure.
Great.
Really appreciate you guys. Keep up the good work. Thank
you.
Awesome.
Anytime. We're going to see you again.
Yep.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Jared, everybody, with Las Vegas Paving. That was applause. Where's my applause track?
You can't force them to clap.
On
there they are.
Track.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. There. Thank you, Jared.
Everybody.
He's left the building.
Well deserved.
Very well deserved. Yeah. Very extremely well deserved. And ladies and gentlemen, Stu Waller.
Really? But
what's that?
Filling in last minute for us like that?
That's awesome. That's amazing. We had.
It was very interesting information.
We had another backup guest, but I think he got intimidated and ran off. But that's fine.
Well, when he heard the last 30 seconds, who wouldn't be intimidated?
Nobody wants to hear about Stu laying pipe. That's all it comes down to.
That's kind of my point.
Yeah, that is. Speaking of pipe, I know a lot of engineers out there are looking for PDH credits. The American Concrete Pipe Association is offering a lot of webinars right now that are going on and coming up. There's presentations coming up on pipe buoyancy, flotation,
box culvert design,
a couple other things. Topics.
Yeah, there's more. I can't. Yeah.
So if you go to the American Concrete Pipe Association LinkedIn or website, you will see the upcoming webinars available, and each up to 4 PDHs. So they're really easy PDHs to rack up. And to get you to where you need to be.
That's kind of their wheelhouse, is providing that education. That's something they really excel at. Is providing those things.
Absolutely. And we're very involved with the American Concrete Pipe Association. I sit on the board for the chairman as in the California Concrete Pipe Association, and then Stu and I are both on the infrastructure committee of the American Concrete Pipe Association.
Right. Yep.
It's a very, very good resource for any information on pipe, box, not just concrete, any type of pipe material.
Right.
So that's a resource out for you. Please do check it out. What else is going on, Stu? You got anything you want to tease for later?
Yeah, a little bit. We have, yesterday we announced some APWA national awards.
Yeah. Didn't
finish those off. Let's hit a couple more of those real quick.
Sure. What you got?
Well, let's start off with Jared's project.
Yeah.
We should have mentioned it there, but it was awarded. It was one of the project of the years.
Yeah.
In the greater than $75 million category. And that was the I-11
Boulder Bypass.
Phase 2, yeah.
Right. And they were actually submitted for, so American Concrete Pipe Association does a big Project of the Year award every year too, where they announce the winner at the Asbestos Bridge Conference. And actually, they were nominated for that award. And I think they came in runner-up. Just behind Project Neon. So two Nevada projects.
That's impressive.
This was 2 years ago. So that was a very, very reputable project.
Probably also ought to mention the primary consultant on that was the CA Group. Also another project Nevada had, I should mention, here's the Southeast Connector, Phase 2. We had a lot of product on that, right?
Oh, yes, we did.
A lot of our stuff. Again, that was more than $75 million category. That was another RTC project of Washoe County. That one. That was Granite Construction. The primary consultant was Jacobs.
Yep.
Now moving to
your backwoods.
My backwoods.
The desert.
The dry desert. Oh, my God. Anyway, structures less than $5 million. Kiwanis Park Splash Playground. That was City of Tempe, Arizona.
Right.
Primary contractor for site design and construction. And the consultant there, primary consultant, was Dig Studio. And then the second Arizona project I'd like to mention here. This one was in the 25 to 75 million.
Wow.
Category.
Wow.
Pretty good sized job.
That's amazing.
This was down in Tucson, Tangerine Road, Dove Mountain Boulevard to Kenyatta Drive. And that was the town of Marana and Oro Valley. And also Pima County. The contractor there was Tangerine Corridor Constructors Consortium there.
Okay.
You've got the primary consultant on that was Somas. So
great.
Congratulations to those guys.
Congratulations to all those guys. And there was some, you were involved in some big changes with the Arizona DOT specifications for storm drain, weren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Tell us about that. I think you got a new spec or got the spec updated to really implement post-installation inspection on alternate pipe materials, right?
Right.
Okay.
And that
tell us about that.
Well, yeah, I think we're trying to tie into that Tucson job I just mentioned. It wasn't quite ready for that, but in a nutshell, plastic pipe and concrete pipe was installed similarly for years and years, basically starting in 97.
Right.
And worked many years to get a little bit of differentiation there. As you know, our industry tries to do that.
Well, they have to be installed differently.
They're
two completely different materials.
There you go. There you go. So the fruition of that was that they implemented a specification where all plastic pipe is tested, deflection tested to a maximum of 5% deflection. Beyond that is that they'll take a look at that, but it's going to be removed and replaced, the majority of that, which is a big change, for the department, the whole state, actually. Then the other part of those changes had to do with the installation differences, the trench widths, the type of material used. It's now different than concrete pipe in certain zones of that trench. That type of thing. So big changes, yeah.
And that's good. I mean, and what that does, that just ensures that the pipe is installed right. Again, like we mentioned, there's two different installation standards. And so you mentioned for years, contractors go ahead and install plastic like concrete, which you can't do. You have to ensure there's a structure there. And so the purpose of that point installation inspection is to ensure that the pipe is installed right. And if it's installed right, it won't over deflect. If it's installed poorly, it will over deflect, thereby justifying that remove and replace. Because if you don't remove and replace, it over deflects, then, a lot of the potholes you guys see around town, in a lot of parking lot developments, that's a lot of times it's really not the road. The culvert underneath is, over deflecting, creating what's above it to come down.
And, it has a direct effect on that estimate of how long that pipe's going to last, too. Once it goes beyond a certain wall stress, all bets are off in terms of how to go about estimating how long is it going to last. But concrete, we say it over and over, but it's a very true statement. We have verifiable proof. We have the average service life is in excess of 100 years of our product. So, you compare those two, and then you see how it justifies those changes we're talking about.
Yeah, here in Nevada, the Washoe County RTC Orange Book is the specification entity here, and a few years back, I sat on the specification committee, and one big change we made. There was a lot of wording for installation, but a lot of times nobody's really reading the wording. So I developed 2 installation trench details, showing, so contractors can see the differences in the installation for rigid and rigid and flexible.
To help educate them on the spec. We're doing the same thing. I mean,
exactly.
Just because you have a specification doesn't mean it's being enforced, doesn't mean
it doesn't.
It's even understood. So that's kind of where we come in as well.
So the challenge now is trying to make sure a lot of entities are following it. Just because, So the Washoe County Orange Book, all the entities up in Northern Nevada, they say that we follow Orange Book, but a lot of times they'll kind of do their own thing from a standpoint of specification. So, trying to make sure everything's in line with their standards.
It's a challenge.
Yeah, it is. It's a challenge, but we're making good progress with it.
One we're up for, right?
Yep.
All right.
Well, Stu, that was a good show. That was a little too loud, too much right there. So, thank you for tuning in to episode 8.
That was 8.
Episode 8 of the Rinker PipeCast. Thanks again to Jared with Las Vegas Paving.
Yes,
he was phenomenal.
Filled in.
Thank you to Las Vegas Paving in general for all the phenomenal work you're doing in Las Vegas and Nevada. Couldn't be more proud of you. It's a pleasure working with you guys. Coming up next this afternoon.
What time? What time
3
is that?
o'clock. 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. We're going to have Sajid Salara from Nevada DOT talking about all kind of good stuff happening with the DOT. And we might even have Garth Oxel, who's a well-known consultant in Northern Nevada. He used to be the RTC director.
He did?
He was. I worked with him on some of the Orange Book stuff, and so he's been around a couple consultants. He's well known, so if I can grab him. We'll have him on as well.
Excellent.
Yeah, we'll talk more about laying pipe.
Hopefully, we'll limit that.
Yeah, we'll limit that.
More technical, maybe next time.
More technical.
Yes.
Thank you very much from the Rinker PipeCast. I'm
See you
Steve
next time.
Nilfortion.
I'm Stu Waller.
See you at 3 p.m. Pacific time. Thank you.